What is a prototype? A prototype is an object that gets assigned to a class, and any object that's made from the class will start off with that prototype's properties and methods. All right, let's take a look. Cladunk. So here's a game class that we were making previously for the what is a custom class. And we made a player property and stored it right on this, and a play method and stored that right on this. And when we make a new game from this class, we now have a game.player and a game.play. So there's a property and a method. You can also add properties and methods to the class's prototype. So we can say game.prototype, which references the prototype object. And then we can say dot some property like total is equal to, say, 55. Ooh, a Freedom 55 game. We've just added a total property to every game that is made from this class. So down in here, we can zog game.player, comma, game.total, like so. And let's try this in a browser and see what happens. And we F11 or F12 for the console. Sorry. There's Dan's End 55. Okay, 55, the property was available on the game object. Let's see if it's also available on the game2 object, which is a different game. And again, here we can say, hey, what's the total of this game? Like that. We save that and refresh here. Rajden 55. So both games indeed have the total property because it was added to the prototype. So when the game object is made, any properties that the prototype already has is assigned. So we can also do that for methods. Game.prototype dot, how about a restart method? Restart equals a function, and the restart will go to the current page. It'll just reload the current page. Is.html. There, it's a poor man's restart. Now, we don't want to just call that directly because it would reload the page and then reload the page and we'd be stuck forever. So let's just put it in a key press, I guess. Window.add event listener, key down, comma, please call this function, collect the event object, and then we can say if e dot key code, capital C, is equal to, how about the R key, 82, then we will call game.restart. So now we're going to call the restart method that was assigned to the prototype of the game. So and sure enough, the game will have it. And we'll call restart when we press this key. So we refresh here, and I click here, and you can see that this thing's off and running. And now I hit the R key, and the page refreshes. R key, the page refreshes. So we called that function. Now, it may be you were wondering why we have two ways to assign properties and methods. We can store them on this, or we can add them to the prototype. Well, I think the theory went that the prototype, you've got this in one place, and it's referencing this one place. I think that's what's happening here. So if we make 200 game objects, they're all calling this one restart function that's just stored on the prototype of those. So that's like one object, one memory, one function. So that's the sort of hopes and dreams behind it, and that might be fine. One problem, though, is it means that anything inside of the prototype function cannot access local variables inside of your game. So quite often we might have variables within our game class, which we call private variables that are local, and we'll deal with that in an upcoming what is. Well, from the prototype, we can't access those local variables. So that's one drawback with it, and that means that I really don't use the prototype in general. Also, I heard from the Create.js folks as they were coding Create.js that the prototype performance was a little bit slower than how that would be very micro slower, so it's doubtful you would notice, but they did tests on that and found that things assigned directly were faster. So there you go. That is what is a prototype. There are certainly other nuances about prototypes, and indeed what prototypes come naturally sort of with an array, what prototypes come, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll leave those for some other day. Right now you got a good idea about what a prototype is should you choose to use it. You can go around and add methods to the prototype of an array, for instance. It's highly recommended that you don't play with the basic JavaScript classes, but you could, and you could make, for instance, we've got an array.shuffle or zim.shuffle, and it would be nice if we could just say array.shuffle, and so I'm tempted to add that to the array prototype, but we haven't. Okay, all the best. This has been Dan Zen with a what is prototype from zimjs.com. Ciao.